Welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. My name's Dulta Doherty, and in this podcast series, I will be talking to investors, advisors, recruiters, and entrepreneurs who are based all over the world, and we'll be discussing how to set up and scale and operate a world-class recruitment company. Today, I've had my mate on from Huxo Media, Hishem Azzouz. We had a quick chat for around 20 minutes about building your own personal brand, and he gave a bit of a preview into the talk that he's going to do at the Recruitment Expo. So fair play to him, good chat, and he's not afraid to go there and put his neck on the line and say what he thinks. So well done, Hishem. Hope you all enjoy.
Hello.
Back by popular demand.
How are you?
The shining light of millennials out there.
Shut up.
The one and only.
Behave. What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah.
I've just booked a ticket to New York City to do a load of podcasts.
Really?
That's what's going on.
Love that. Wow. That's cool. Have you got quite a few lined up then?
Yeah. So, I've done 5 remotely, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go over and do a bit of filming, maybe hire a videographer for the day.
Amazing.
And yeah, just get in amongst it. Live the recruiter life, pretend I'm in my 20s like you. Unfortunately, I have to bring my wife.
Yeah. Love that.
And I'm not drinking. So
how much was that of interest? That's like the number one. I'm going there this year. Just a matter of when. But were the tickets expensive?
No, because it's February, right? So
yeah,
I think we got them for a few hundred. So
nice.
Super excited to get out there and
that's really cool.
Have a little bounce around.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today?
So I think we wanted to just talk about personal brands for a nice short 10 minutes. I guess just share both our experiences, because I think it's clear that you've built yourself a brand, and I've sort of gone on this sort of journey myself. So yeah.
Talk to me about the journey.
But it's really interesting because I spent most of the weekend putting together like a slide deck to talk about this exact thing. Put myself forward to talk at this Recruitment Expo.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, so I was just trying to just basically like have a bit of structure to it. But essentially, it all came from asking one question, right? So in year 1 in recruitment, right? You can tell me this because you'll be more experienced from recruitment businesses' expectations, but I billed 24K. That's bad.
In the whole year, yeah?
Yeah, 12 months in my first year.
Yeah, I billed 400 in my first year.
Exactly. So, so I'm going to ask the audience how many people would have let me go at that point. But basically...
I would have sacked your ass real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you were working for me personally and you weren't costing me too much, and I knew that something was coming. But if you're part of a bigger structure,
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So I was part of a small business. I sat next to my director who billed until I left. But obviously, I think the advantage I had was that he generally saw that I was listening to what he was saying, the feedback he was giving me, and I was implementing it and trying to action it. But basically, at the end of that year, I'm a quite reflective person, and I made some time to understand, okay, well, what's gone really bad this year? What have I done well? What could I improve on, etc. And the problem that I found was that I couldn't get hold of the people that I could help. I just couldn't get hold of enough people.
Okay.
That was a problem I had, right? So basically, I then asked myself the question simply, what else can I do to get hold of the people that I can essentially place, or I can help in terms of fill their vacancies, right? That was the one question that I asked myself, which led me to go on this whole personal branding journey, basically.
So what was it? Were they not answering the phone?
Yeah, that's the thing, because I had the nickname in the office of Hishem the Hounder, and I got that because essentially my colleagues would...
I hope it wasn't from the nightclub.
No, it wasn't. And look, colleagues used to joke and say, look, if someone gets on the Hishem Azzouz to chase list, there's no going off it. And I was completely relentless. I always phoned, I left voicemails, emails, tried all the normal things that I was learning from the people around me. And I just couldn't get hold of people, basically. Or if I got hold of people, it was at a point where they'd already spoke to other agencies, or they'd already engaged with my colleagues potentially, or whatever. But that was my problem, because when I did get hold of people, I was quite good at the phone. I was quite good at building relationships and making the most out of that opportunity. But it was actually getting more of those opportunities. That was my problem in year one.
Do you think it came down to credibility and the brand of the business that you were working for? And I ask that because I worked for Robert Walters.
Yeah.
And that name carries real strong when you're
that's fair enough. I think the advantage we had was that we was just an insurance recruiter, and we had my director. He worked at Hayes for like over a decade, built a really good reputation there because he also recruited in insurance, and then he did build a good reputation and brand where I worked. So I'd say that it's probably not on the level of Robert Walters, but within our niche, like, we was quite well known. And my colleague next to me, who I learned the majority of things from, she'd been in the game for like 10 plus years, and she had a really good brand as well. So I could also leverage that. So I wouldn't say so, if I'm honest. I think that we had a quite good reputation.
But you only built 20K, so
24K, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. The truth might be in the numbers. Here's a question. Just, I don't want to throw you off too much. When he was setting up that business, given he had such a great reputation,
do
you think he should have named the business after himself, or he should have had a separate brand?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. You know what? I mean, would it? I really don't know. I don't know. I think that would it have had an impact on the growth of the business and the success of the business? Not entirely sure, but I think that's a good question and something to think about when you are setting up your own agency. But I don't think that would have a direct impact on how well the business would do.
See, I do. I do. Actually,
is that because I could leverage his name even more?
Yeah, because there's not. You don't have to say I'm from here and this is who the person is.
No, you're right.
Go, oh, you're calling from your man.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember him. He's good. Oh,
yeah, you're probably right. No, that's a complete valid point, and I think that that's definitely something well worth to listen to. And no, I think that's a really good point. Yeah,
it's something I'm thinking about a lot at the moment. I'm going to rebrand to my name across all channels.
Yeah,
I had a meeting with one of the top branding guys in the UK who just happens to be a mate of mine.
Nice.
And he said, look, do you need to be bigger to sell more? Do you need to appear to be bigger? And will it and we went right down that rabbit hole for an hour. And
what was the conclusion?
No, the conclusion is no. I mean, it makes more sense to put equity in my name rather than a generic brand.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it can, like, when you look at some of the cooler, like, I like the Huxo brand that you guys have.
Yeah.
I get that, but I think a lot of recruitment brands, they just, especially ones that aren't large, I don't know if there's much equity in the name.
Yeah, no, I think it's something really worth listening to, and I think to add to that as well is I guess the potential benefit of that as well is if you do sort of double down on your name and build a brand around that. Obviously, you're gonna if you're in a recruitment business, obviously you're building a recruitment business, and that's what the brand is around. However, if you do branch off and do other things, I don't know, that would probably be an easier transition. And if you have those types of things associated with your name, I think that's really good, a really good thing to think about. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's an exact science on it.
Yeah.
But and it's just
something to think about.
Yeah, we've been debating around.
No, I like that.
So where were we exactly on? You were doing a pitch deck.
So I basically asked myself that question, and then basically what it led me to do was, okay,
how can I be less shy?
Yeah, basically, basically, and then I was like, right, okay, well, where I'll start is, okay, well, and at this point, look, I'll be honest, at this point, I was consuming content on YouTube, all the normal things. I'm right, okay, well, look, I'm hearing marketing, I'm hearing social media all the time. I use it on a daily basis. Surely I can leverage that somehow to get the attention of the people that I can help. So that was my thought process. And then what it led me to do was look at our competitors. There's only a few competitors, about 4 or 5, and I searched them straight away. I looked at their LinkedIn pages, I looked at their Facebook, etc., and all I saw was jobs, and just more jobs, right? And I actually took a screenshot of, I don't know if I'll get into trouble with this, but I'm going to share it anyway in terms of when I do this talk. But our direct competitor, I took screenshots of like on the weekend, and it's still the exact same of like what they're doing.
Yeah, well, and that's it.
Yeah. So I was like, hang on a minute. And the added context I had a year in was like, because I reviewed my desk, I didn't make one placement out of the 3 placements I made. I didn't make one placement or have any success at all from doing that. And even all of my colleagues used to just go through the motions. All right, okay, so how do you, when you get a job on, what do you do? So I first put it on our website, I then make a job on Reed, I then post it on LinkedIn, etc. Then I'm done. You don't get anything from that. And I didn't get anything from that. None of my colleagues did. So I was like, okay, well, why are we doing it? If not, do you know what I mean? You're just going through the motions and you think that's just what you're meant to do, but you don't get anything in return. So that's what led me to go, hang on a minute, why don't I just try and start to use these tools differently, and not mention the word job? That was the thought process. That was the only thinking. And also, the big thing and the big motivator around it was that my competitors weren't doing that. I just wanted that I came up against these direct competitors a lot, and if I could be better than them and have an advantage, then that's going to help me build more. And do you get what I mean? So that was the thought process.
And what was next on the slide deck?
So what then started to happen was I basically started posting about hating Mondays. You see these posts now flying about, right? I started there. I was like, right, if you hate your job, if you're going into work today, you hate it, let's have a conversation. Wednesday, hump day, you thinking about the weekend already? And then I started talking about what I believed in terms of as a consultant, how you should recruit, how you shouldn't recruit, those types of things, right? They were sort of the go-to things initially. And then I had the genius idea of getting in front of the camera. The reason why was because I'm not much of a writer. Like I can write, I can do it. However, for me...
You are really good looking though, right?
Yeah, obviously that's an advantage, exactly. And and basically I thought, right, well, if I get in front of a camera, that will give me more of an opportunity to sort of get myself across. Because that was the biggest asset I had, Hishem Azzouz, when people bought into me. That's why people use you and not the other person. And that was, again, my only mindset. When I obviously said this out loud in the office, everyone looked at me a complete distraught. Everyone was like, how the hell is that going to make you more money, Hishem? And what the hell are you on about? Because everyone had been doing it for a while. So I did get friction there. However, my director did support me. So that's what started happening. And basically, I actually went through my phone and went through my old posts and screenshotted sort of my content journey, because I'm sure you see it, but so many people will make the decision in 2019 to start. No one will like their post, no one will comment on their post, and then they'll stop. So I sort of got a few slides showcasing that I used to be the guy that posted about the jobs I had, and I got absolutely fuck all engagement. I then started posting about Monday mornings. Do you hate what you're doing? I even had a picture and a screenshot of episode 3 of the podcast where it got 1 like. And I still continue to do it, even though it would have been very easy for me to go, no one's listening. And then it then continues to go on. And where I had to start to get a lot more success was just essentially documenting what I was doing. And I know Gary Vee says this all the time, document over create, but like some of the most engaging pieces of content that I shared was like just pictures with some written word as to what I was actually doing, how I was involved in the insurance industry. Like I took a picture when we went to the Lawyers of Insurance market, and then it got tons of engagement. And likewise when we got involved with a football tournament. And then I continued to do that because I was getting a lot more engagement. I saw that was working, so I continued to do more of that. When we went out of our way to learn about our industry and attend industry events, I made sure we took a picture. I took a picture when I could with my clients, and I've helped their business and helped them grow that business. And then also where I had a lot more success, and I appreciate not every recruiter can do this, but I started taking pictures of candidates that I placed. So when obviously there was nothing to hide in terms of I headhunted certain people out of a business who I had a relationship with, etc., which you have to do. When I'd go out for a drink with these candidates, which tended to be normal practice to build the relationship, I'd take a picture. And that really worked. I got tons of engagement. And again, I got a number of inbound messages, and it really helped because I guess the perception I was trying to create was Hishem Azzouz can help you find a job when you're looking. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah. And then the last piece on that was that I started sharing videos. And I'm not sure I shared this with you on the podcast when you came to the studio, but I've got the screenshot of when my director had to share my video because I couldn't post it natively. I tried to post it, but I had to do it for YouTube, and it did absolutely terribly. However, my director had the chance to upload it natively at that point because LinkedIn had released it to X amount of members, but not to everyone. And then the last screenshot on that is a video of me talking about interview feedback, and it's the most engaged piece of content that I made, and the most amount of people engaged with.
Yeah.
So that was the journey. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to sort of showcase that is that one, it works, and two, like if you start today and it doesn't go well, that's okay. Like a big part of it is just reacting to how people engage with it. Do you get what I mean? And I'm sure you've done the same, right? When you try something and you go, you know what, that didn't quite work, I'm not going to do that again. Or you know what, that really works, I'm going to do more of that. That's
test.
That's a huge part of it.
I don't just test, I edit it as I go.
Yeah.
So if I can see it's got a bit of traction,
but
I add extra
bits.
But
the thing with that is that even though I was doing all this, I still had that distraught face of my colleagues just constantly saying to me, like, "What, Hishem? Like, show me the money. Like, how is that making you more money?" And then sort of to wrap that up, I know this is like no daughter billings, but it's something that obviously...
I don't do those billings anymore.
but I think at the end of the day, I'm just trying to showcase that it generally had an impact, and it wasn't just this; it was also me being consistent on the phone calls, be relentless still with that. But and then my year 2 billings were 120k, and that's a dramatic increase compared to the 24k, right? So and it had a direct impact on that, and it wasn't just down to that; it was down to me just cracking on and learning from what I did in year 1, but it had a serious impact.
And here's the challenge that agency owners are going to have. Number one, they have a certain framework where they need people to make a certain amount of activity to get it done. And if people start being creative and start doing different things,
it's going to affect other areas. Maybe
it's going to affect other things, and then they can't say, look, this is the way to do it, and if you work backwards from this is how it works. So until they're in a position where they can put in a creative hour or whatever it is.
See, my counter to that, and what I'd push back on, and what I talk about, is that every single recruiter right now has a personal brand. You have a personal brand, and the reason for that is because that's your reputation. That's you on a consistent basis, keeping to your word, delivering on what you say you're going to, offering a real high level of service, listening to your clients, listening to your candidates, and it's what people say about you right now behind closed doors. Your candidates and clients have a perception of you right now, which is your brand, right? But right now, it's completely generated and made completely offline. It's through attending your client meetings, candidates, doing the right thing, networking events, etc. So my counter to that is you don't need a creative hour. The most successful piece of content that I did was documenting what I was doing. So if you're out on a client visit and you've got a great relationship with that person and you've helped grow their team, get a fucking picture with them and just talk about it. Likewise with a candidate, you don't have to go out of your way to be creative. You can simply just consciously think, okay, why don't I get a picture of this? Or do you get what I mean? So I'd say start there, and I completely agree with you that I get what you're saying, but at the same time,
makes sense.
But at the same time, if you start using that hour to be creative, that isn't sustainable in my eyes, because I'm like, it's hard. A lot of recruiters say they're not creative, but you'd be surprised. And if you're in that hour just putting your hair out as to, okay, what the hell do I talk about? It's a lot easier to go, oh, that candidate just said something really nice about me. Let's write about it. Or do you get what I mean? So that's what I'd say to that.
No, it's fair enough. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Obviously, I just sit and be creative most of the day. So it's all good. But I have sat in those big rooms, and it's tough.
Yeah.
to have your own brand in a giant
appreciate
brand.
that.
Because
See, I haven't experienced that, so but I can imagine there'd be.
I used to when I like I've done a bit of content for them that had to go through my team leader, then my manager, then my director, and then it went to international marketing before I was able to post it.
Really?
Like,
what? Just
yeah,
stuff that you wanted to post?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that not like it was more like it was a market update with some stats and all the rest.
Okay, yeah. So like, but to make sure that it's true everything that you're saying.
To make sure that it was like that. If anybody complained at any stage of the process, that we could go, well, look, it was approved by marketing.
Yeah.
And that put me off creating anything else, because I was like, they don't want me to do that anyway. And you do feel like in those big agencies, you do feel really stifled. Like, have you ever seen Hayes and Michael Page's content? It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Like the star focus week, or where they get somebody talking about how amazing they're make you sick, so it would.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I know I completely appreciate that. And look, I've never experienced that, so I can't talk from personal experience, but I completely appreciate that will be a challenge. And I mean, look, I even got friction within an 8-man business. Do you get what I mean? So even you have that, and then you have your colleague sitting next to you going, what the hell are you doing, mate? Like, why are you doing that? Because that's a whole nother thing to deal with. And that is difficult to deal with, because look, in the world that we live in today, there are a lot of people concerned about other people's opinions, let alone professionally as well. So all I'd say to that is, look, again, I'm making an assumption here, but I'd be very surprised if you, at the end,
that's what we do on a podcast. Okay.
No, but I'd say, like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in a big agency, they're not going to stop you posting about your jobs. Do you get what I mean? So I'd say if you're just posting stuff about yourself, and you're just, I don't know, I can't see that being a problem. If you're talking about how you helped a candidate today, or you're talking about a problem that your client keeps talking to you about, I just can't see that being a problem within an agency. But I might be completely wrong. So I'd say
the world has changed in the last.
That's what I mean. I think the mindset is slowly but surely changing. However, just in recruitment alone, there's still plenty more to go. But I'd say if you just start, look, if you do feel that, and you know, and you want to try it, I'd say just play it safe initially. Just start just talking about you, and they can't stop talking about you, because you do that on the phone anyway, and you do that in your meetings. Do you get what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're currently doing it. It's just about bringing that to life in the online world, and sharing that.
Also, I think that there needs to be a bit of copywriting training going on.
That's true. Valid point. Yeah.
But so Expo, is that where we can come and see the only guy under 30?
Literally, I was thinking that. I mean,
everybody else is old enough to be your granddad who's presenting.
Maybe not quite granddad, but yeah. When I was looking through the speakers, I mean, they're teens.
Bill Borman's old enough to be your granddad. So Steve Ward.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how old they are, so I'm not entirely sure.
Everybody's old compared to you, Hishem.
Well, I'm 25, so I don't view being 30 and early 30s old at all. So
thanks, mate. Thanks. Thanks, mate. So when is it? Do you know?
5th of February. I'm talking. So it's the 5th and 6th of Feb. But it's the 5th that I've got half an hour to talk. And look, I've never done it before, but when I was sort of doing all this, for me, I couldn't think of anything worse than just sitting there and just being spoken to for 30 minutes. So I'm really going to try and look. One of my I share sort of what my intentions are with the talk, and the last goal there is to make people laugh. Like, I don't want it to just be all serious and you have to do this, you have to do that. I want it to be engaging. I want people to feel like they're involved and it's actually entertaining. So I'm hoping I achieve that. So we'll see.
Good on you. Myself and Charlotte will probably come up and hang out for the day, do a bit of recording.
I can imagine you haggling people there. So if you intend on doing that, please don't.
Haggling people? You mean recruiters and that?
No, as in if I was talking, I can imagine you just shouting some weird comment.
Not at all. Not at all. It'll be fine. Just don't picture yourself in your underwear.
Yeah. I won't, mate. I won't. But look, I think before I leave, I just want to my one piece of advice to people, because look, 2019, and this time of year, it's always, there's more energy around starting something new, etc. Right? If that's gym, if that's running, whatever it is. My best piece of advice, and hopefully you relate to this, is look, if you start sharing content, you just can't share with the expectation of getting something in return. You just can't have that mindset. So if you start sharing content and you start trying to do things differently, if you don't get any likes, if you don't get any comments, I can't encourage you enough to just keep sharing content, because over time, as I'm sure you've experienced with this podcast, etc., it will build, and you will build momentum, and you will slowly but surely get more engagement, and more people will see it. And I've experienced that myself, and the only reason I've got an opportunity to talk at the Recruitment Expo is exactly that. I continue to stay consistent, share my story, and likewise how I joined Hoxo Media. That it's exactly that reason. So that would just be my one piece of advice, just to not share the expectation of getting something in return if you're going to start.
Good man. Keep being you. See you next time.
Good man. Cheers.
So, a millennial on the podcast. Thank God for that. There's 10 years between me and Hishem, and usually there's about another 10 years between myself and a lot of the search firm owners, or even 20 years. And this generational gap I find fascinating. I think he's dead right. Document, don't create, put it as part of your process, and you can make social media work for you. And I think a lot of search firm owners struggle when they're sitting there in a quiet room and people are just on LinkedIn the whole time, posting or sourcing and messaging and all the rest, and it lacks energy. And it's tough to find that balance. And I think there's very few agencies that have got it right. I think we're all kind of discovering, what part does social media and media play in the scheme of things. So yeah, good to have Hishem on, and I'll be going up to check out his talk at the Recruitment Expo and maybe a few others as well. So hopefully, if you're there, come and say hi if you see me, and have a great week. We will be back with another awesome guest probably tomorrow. I feel like I'm almost recording every day now, which incidentally has made the podcast listens jump by about 4 times its normal rate, which is quite fascinating. So, all right, that's it. See you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.